Once you have installed Flutter, the next thing you need to do is to create a new Flutter project. And this is what we'll do in this video. So you will open the terminal. So I will go inside my Mac, we'll open terminal and maximize this thing so you can see something. Next, we need to create the project. What I like to do is to always create the projects at the same place. So it's inside my MacBook, inside my development, and this is the Flutter installation, and this is my projects. So we will create one inside this. So I will say cd, and I will cd the development folder, and then cd the projects folder. Great, so this is where we are. Now I will say Flutter create, and we will call this one my Flutter app or Flutter app. You can write anything you prefer, but just make sure that you don't have spaces. And next you will say run. Perfect. So this will create our Flutter project. We need to open this inside Visual Studio. So I will go inside, I will say open, and then I will go inside development, projects, and I have the Flutter app right there. So you will click open. Great. So now we are inside our Flutter project and we are ready to run the application. So we'll go inside the library and the main.dart, and then you will press this little button if you are on Visual Studio Code. And this will start the application. It should take like 30 seconds to launch. All right. But if you are on Android Studio or something else, you can go in the terminal and you can write Flutter run and press enter. So if you press enter, this will launch the Flutter app. The next thing I need to tell you is if you are on Visual Studio Code, you can also create some sort of configuration. You can do this on Android Studio also, but on Visual Studio, it's pretty simple. You just click this little thing, and now you have all your configuration, and you can launch the application by going and clicking on this little thing instead. It doesn't really matter how you launch it. At least the only thing you need is to launch Flutter. Right? So this is the basic application, and on the next video, we will start building a real application, right? So that's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, so the next thing you need to understand is Flutter is really widget inside widget inside widget. This is the key concept that once you understand this, you will see building with Flutter will be so simple. So let me show you an example. Inside the main.dart, which is the entire code required to build this application right now, we will change a couple of things. So by example, if you change you have pushed this button many times, blah, 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 you can press this little thing, which is called the hot reload, so the lightning bolt or whatever, and this will restart and just update the screen, all right? So you can also just write something else and press Ctrl S to save, and this will automatically update the screen. So I will always do this. The next thing you need to understand is Flutter is widget inside widget. So I have a column widget. Inside I have an argument called children, which will put inside a list of other widgets. So this is why we can have one widget and another under, because we use a column widget. So this is what I need you to understand is Flutter is widget inside widget. Another example is we have the center widget, which will put everything in the center. And then we have the column, which will allow you to put two widgets, the text and the number. All right. So if we take another text and we just copy paste right under like this, you will see that we have two numbers. Great. Another thing we can do is maybe we can go inside the text and we can go and press, I don't know, text style or just style. This is an argument, by the way, but it doesn't really matter if you don't understand right now. We will explain everything later. So I will say we'll use a text style widget like this, and you can click the arrow to have more information about it. I prefer not to click it because it kind of hides everything in the screen. So I will press text style and I will press Control Space because this is the way you can see all the arguments inside. And I will use, by example, color, and I will say colors.blue, and I will save. So now you can see that the text is blue because inside the text widget, I've put a text style widget which changed the style. So Flutter is really like that. Widget inside widget inside widget. And in the next video, I will show you how to understand and how to put all these pieces together. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Okay, so how do you put a widget inside a widget, or how do I know when do I need to use style, or when do I need to use child, or when do I need to use children? It's so confusing, right? So what I will need to do is, by example, I will remove the column. I will delete all of this garbage right away. And what we'll do is we'll just put a text widget like this. And inside, I will press Control Space. And you can see that we can put many arguments. But the text widget is a little bit funky, because if you go over, you will see that you need to put right away the string data, and then you can put some arguments. So this one is a little bit funky. So we will put a string. We'll say hello and save. But now, how do we put arguments? How do we understand to put widget inside widget? To put arguments, what you need to do is you press the comma and you press Control Space. This will show you all the possible arguments. So by example, we used style previously. So I will put my arrow, I will click this little thing, and I will see that the description of the thing. All right, so I will click on style, and I will put a text style like we did earlier. But the thing you have to understand at this point is a widget is a capital letter. An argument is a lowercase letter, the first letter. And after this, you do this forever. You see that after the argument, we have another widget which have the capital letter. And you guessed it, if we go inside and we use an argument, by example, the color is a lowercase letter. And after this, again, capital letter, colors.amber. So you understand right now that Flutter is widget inside widget, but you understand also that in order to put another widget inside another one, you need to use an argument. Arguments use lowercase letter, and widget use capital letter. So like this, you have some sort of visual idea of how to use Flutter right now. This is the key concept. Once you understand this, you are ready to jump and create your own app. And this is what we will do in the next video. So I see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, so the next step you need to have or understand is how to create the data type with Flutter. Once you have this, it's really like, let's go, and I don't know what I mean by that, but anyway. So what you will need to do is you will say string, and you will say name is equal to, by example, mammoth or whatever. Doesn't matter. So this is a string. After this, we have the int, which will be a number, and this will be equal to 1. We have the double, which will be nobody care. And the double is like a number with a comma. And after this, we have a list. This is how you create a list. So my list is equal to the square bracket. The square bracket will let know Flutter that it's a list, and you can put many items inside. Each item needs to be separated with the comma like this. All right. So the last thing we need to do and talk about is a map. So how to create a map? My map is equal to, now we use the curly bracket. We put the semicolon at the end everywhere. And next you need to put, by example, a string and what else? A string, whatever. It doesn't really matter for now, just so you have seen how to create each of them first time. Later inside this course, when we need them, I will explain more if needed. All right, so this is how you do it. Last thing with the map, if you want to put the type for the map, you can write it just like this. This will be a map string. But if you have something else, by example, I don't know, something weird, you can use dynamic, and dynamic will be all the type, kinda, right? So by example, if I use this, I put my comma to create another thing, the key 2, and we change this for a number 444. Now this will work because we have the dynamic, which will be either a string or either a number. So this is how you use the type with Flutter. Later we will do like loops and stuff like that, but we don't need it right now, so we will not do it right now. That's about it, and I see you in the next video to start building a real application. That's it. Bye-bye. Okay, so I know we were supposed to start building like apps and widgets, but I need to tell you this thing. It's so crazy as a tip that it will help you build with Flutter like crazy fast. So I don't understand why people don't tell about this more often. It's just so good. So by example, if you want to create another argument, right now what we will do is we will work on this little debug banner. I hate it because I don't think it's beautiful. I think it's ugly. But if you want to have a debug banner to know if you are in debug mode, you can keep it, but I will remove it. So we will go inside the material app and I will write show debug banner or something like this. Show debug banner. Yeah, this one. And I will select this argument. And if you go over the argument, you will see that Flutter will give you the answer. You need to put a true or false value. So I will say, I want this as false, and I will press Ctrl S to save. And you see that the banner is not available anymore. If you like it, keep it. Personally, I don't. So we'll do again this little tricks, but with another argument. So let's go inside the color scheme. And inside the color scheme, we have the argument and we have the widget color scheme. Inside this one, we'll go inside the arguments. I will press comma, Control space, and we'll use the brightness argument. So this one, I will press enter, and now we need the answer. So we'll go over brightness, and you see we need to write brightness.light. So this is a widget. So I will do exactly that, brightness, but instead I will say .dark. And if you save, you will see that the application is not dark. But another thing is you can see that the code is a little bit weird. So if you put a comma after each argument or each argument and widget and save, this will automatically re-put the code like in a good way so you can see it. If it doesn't work for you when you press Control Save, this means you need to like format document, so you need to press this. All right? So that's about it. So now you know that when you put your mouse over an argument, you have always the answer. Flutter is giving you the answer. So just use them. So you understand that Flutter is widget inside widget. You understand that when you put your mouse over the argument, it gives you the answer. And you understand that the arguments start with a lowercase and the widgets start with a capital letter. So right now you have like all the tools to understand what we'll do with Flutter. So I see you in the next video to start building. Bye-bye. Okay, so let's talk about container. A container is just like an empty box that you can fill with anything, like you can decorate it. So I will go over the text widget, I will right click and I will say refactor. Then I will use the wrap with a container. But I have some bug on my computer. I will right click, I will say refactor, and now I will select wrap with a container. But you can see also we have the center, padding, size box, column, row. We will do all of them after, like in further video. So I will say wrap with a container. After this, inside we'll go in the arguments, Control space, and I will say color. The color will take a color widget, so I will say colors dot, and we'll use maybe red, and let's save. So this is the container, the red color. So what we can do also is we can change the height for 100 and 0, and the width for 100 and 0. So let's save. So this is our container. All right, after this, what we can do is we can change the corners of the container. I will go inside the decoration argument, and if you go over, you will see that this takes a decoration, but this is a little bit misleading because it's better to use the box decoration. Perfect. So after this, inside the box decoration, we will put the corners or the border radius. Again, if we go over, you will see that this said border radius geometry, but it's better to just use the border radius dot circular. And then you just put like 25.0 inside and let's save. And now we have an error. So in further video, I will show you how to fix error by yourself. Like it's a two-step formula, it's super simple. But for now, I will just fix it pretty quick. If you don't understand, don't worry because we will talk about it later. So what I will do is you can see that we have the color is equal to null or the decoration is equal to null. And right now we put a color and a decoration. So Flutter is like, hey, just put one of them. And after this, it's also said box decoration, color, color. So you can change the color inside the box decoration. Okay, I know this means a lot of things and maybe it's confusing, but I will just take this, I will cut it, and I will paste it inside, and maybe it will make more sense for you. All right, so now we have the rounded borders to 25, and that look pretty cool. Can we do other stuff inside this? The constraint, padding. I can talk about padding. Color. Yeah, let's use padding. So I will say the padding go edgeInset.all. This is what you put inside. If you go over padding, you will see that it's called geometry, it's better to use the edge_inset.all. All right. After this, I will use the value maybe 50.0. If I save, you will see nothing change. The reason is it's like kind of invisible, the padding. So what we'll do is we'll change the height and the width, and I can show you something cool at the same time. It's called the double.infinity. All right? This will tell Flutter, I will put my comma, this will tell Flutter take as much place as possible. So inside the body argument or inside the body of the scaffold, take as much place for the height. And after this, we will do the same thing for the width. We will say double.infinity, and let's save. Okay, so you can see that the padding does, again, nothing, but it's because the padding is inside like this. If we change the padding for margin, you will see that now we have the 50 margin. But if we do it for the padding, this means what is inside this thing. So let me show you. We will take another container. I will copy this entire container like this, and I will go inside the child. I will change the text for the container. And now I will paste another one, and we'll change the color for maybe orange. And let's save. So you can see that the hello, maybe the hello is a little bit, I will put black. Let's save. So now you can see that we have a margin. We have a, no margin. We have the padding, and we can put a margin also, like this. Here we go. So this is everything about container, or pretty much everything you need to know about container. I see you in the next video. Bye. Let's talk about column. This one is pretty cool because most of the time you will need to put widget one over the other, because currently it's all one inside the other. So what you can do is instead use a column widget. If we go inside the body, we have the container right there. And instead of this container, I will delete what is inside. I will delete all the child like this and save. Okay. So what we will do is we will wrap this container with a column. I will right click and I will say refactor. And then I will use wrap with a column. All right. So as you can see, usually a container will take a child widget. Okay, we don't have it right now, but you could have a child, and then is what you put inside. But the column is pretty much the same thing, but it's children instead, because you can put multiple child inside. We have the list. This is the list, and then we have the widget container. So what you can do is you can copy this container and paste it right under and save. And now we have a problem, and it's because we use a infinity height inside a column. So a column is infinite, and we put an infinite, so it's like it's not like possible. Anyway, so I will put Control J, and you can see inside the debug console also we have some sort of problem with the height has size. All right, so I will remove this, and what we'll do is we will just remove the height like this, and we will save. Great. So we have one container, and we have another one right under, and we have two type of padding. So we will remove all the paddings and the margins and padding margins, and let's save. So if we save, now we have another problem. It's not working because we don't have any height. All right, so a lot of problems, but this is how you learn. So height, we will put 100.0, and we will put another height for this one and save. So we have our two containers inside a column. All right, that's pretty cool. But I have other thing to show you. Instead, we will replace the two double.infinity. You can press Control D. Usually, this will select the next thing. And you will write maybe 100.0. Let's save. So we have our two containers. After this, what we can do with them is maybe we can put them in the center. So let's use the column. And what we will do is we will go inside the arguments. We will say the main axis alignment dot center, and now the widget are inside the center. So let me explain you what is the main axis alignment and the cross axis alignment, because we can also change this one for, by example, and it will be at the end, and I will show you why it is not right now. Anyway, so a lot of things to explain. This main axis alignment is, by example, the column. the column is like this and the main axis is vertical. All right, so this is why when we put it in the center, it goes in the center. If we put it at the end, it will go at the end. All right, but why this one doesn't work? The reason is, by example, if we take the column and we wrap it, refactor, wrap with a container, and then we change the container for the colors dot blue, and let's save. This is the container. That's the reason. But if we take, by example, the container and we put it at width double dot infinity, dot infinity, and we save, now you can see that the cross-axis alignment is working and it goes up to the end. And if we change it to start, it goes to the start. Because now the column take all the width. Because by default, the column will take as less place as possible. All right, I knew this is a lot of things. We will redo this exercise in the next video because we will do the row instead of the column. So you will see it's a little bit different, but anyway. And another thing we can do is we will delete, maybe we'll put this as black 38, so it's less aggressive. And next we can change maybe the width, remove this and save. Great, so now we have our column. And what we will do is I will remove the cross-axis alignment, we will save, and we will change another argument called the main axis size. So if we do this, we can change, because by default, as I told you, the column take as much place as possible for the vertical. So we can change this. We can say the main axis size dot minimum. So now it will take as less place as possible, and the main axis alignment will not work anymore because it doesn't take all the height. All right, so you can remove this and save. So this is a way to put it in the center also. You can remove this and it will go back up. All right, so this was a lot of things about the column. In the next video, we will talk about the row, and that's about it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, so let's talk about row. Instead of using the column, we will replace this just by writing row, and I will save. Great, so now you can see that this is the row. We have the color black 38, which define the color of the row. And after this, we have two containers. So let's change a couple of things. Let's go and try to put this in the center. So what we could do, we could change the main axis size. Is it main axis size? It's not inside the row, sorry. So yeah, it's the main axis size like this, and we'll say main axis size the minimum. Try to think what it will do before running it. So, for example, if I click on it, this will change the main axis size to the minimum. So all the black will be reduced. So this will go in the center. So let's save. Great. After this, what we can do is we can change the main axis alignment. And if we say main axis alignment dot, let's say start, it will do nothing for now. So let's save. It do nothing because the main axis size is minimum. So if we remove this, now it will go to the start. But I think by default, it is by start. Yeah, it is by default. So what we could do, we could change it for center and let's save, or end and save. Great. So there's also another thing called the space around or space between, space evenly. Let's use this one. This one can be pretty cool sometime. So yeah, you can play with that. And one last is the cross-axis alignment, because the row is horizontal. So the main axis is horizontal. And the cross-axis of the row is the invert, which means vertical. All right? So we'll say the vertical axis, we want it to be cross-axis alignment dot start. But this should not change anything, does it? Cross-axis dot start. So I will save again. Yeah, this does nothing because it was just the main axis previously. So that's why it moved. But if we just remove this and we put save, and then we put this cross-axis alignment dot start, it was, you see, nothing changed. All right, so that's good, but how do we make it change? The reason is because the height of the row is like the minimum as possible. So we can change this by going in the container, so the parent widget, and we can change the height to put double dot infinity, and now it will work if we save. You see, now it worked for the cross-section alignment. So I know this was a lot of things and maybe it's confusing for you, but it's pretty simple. It's just if you have the row, what is the main axis of the row? It's like this. And what is the cross-axis? Is like this. And if you go with the column, the main axis is like this. And if you go with the column, the cross-axis is horizontal. So that's about it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, so now let's talk about the center widget. So you can see that we have a center that is wrapping everything right now. But why is this not everything in the center in this case? All right, let's figure out why. First, we have a height of infinity. So let's remove this. This might help a little bit. Great, so now we are going to the center. After this, we have a row. But the row is saying that the cross-section element is going to the start, which means this should do nothing. So if I remove it, it should do nothing. Yes, sir, perfect. But why this is still not in the center? The reason is the row take as much place as possible for the main axis alignment. So if you go inside, you will see that the main axis size is maximum. So let's change this for main axis size dot minimum, and let's save. So now everything is in the center. So this is the goal of the center widget. But if you change the argument within other widget inside, this will not take action anymore. All right, so this is the center widget. What else can we do? By example, if we go in the container, we want to put a text inside and we want it to be in the center. So what we could do is we could write the child to go inside the container. And next you will say center widget. Let's click. And then we will go inside child again, because this will go in the center. And we will write text. And then we will put, I don't know, blue, 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 and let's save. So now we have the text in the center of the container. All right, so this is how to use the center widget. I don't think there is anything else inside. We have some width factor, height factor. I never use them, so it's not really useful. That's about it, and I see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Okay, so how do you add an image inside your Flutter app? For this, you have two ways to do it. First, you can either use a URL or you can download the image and put it inside your project. We will do both ways. So first, I will find an image on the internet, wallpaper. I will right click on it and I will say open image in a new tab. Great. So after this, you will go at the end of this URL and you will search for something called JPG or PNG or any image format. After this, you can copy all of this. And if it's something weird, then maybe it will not work. So just now you know. After this, we will go back inside the code and we will replace the scaffold body. So we will change all the container. And one tip for you is I always click on the bracket to know where the next bracket is. You see, I always click like container. I know it's right there because it's highlighted. So I will take the center, delete all of this, and then we'll use the image.network. Perfect. Now we can delete the source and we can put something like this, the URL, and we can put the comma, format document, save, and now we have the image inside our application. Great. So what is the next step? The next step is maybe to put the image on the full height. So we will use the height argument. We'll say double.infinity and let's save. But this is still not like all the image, like all the screen. If we want all the screen, we need to use another argument called the fit. And the fit will have the box fit dot multiple options. So contain, which is currently the case, the cover, or the fill. Fill is a little bit weird, so we will use the cover. And now let's save. Great. So this is the first way, by using a URL with the image.network. So let's do the other way around. Instead, we will create a new file and we will call it assets. Inside this, we will create another one called the image. And finally, inside assets, we'll create another one called fonts, because later inside this course, we will learn how to add your own fonts. And so inside assets, let's go back inside the internet and I will download this image. I will say right click, save image as, and then I will save it inside my image. So you can see this is my project, asset, inside Flutter app, image, and I will save it inside this. Let's change the name for something like background, bg.jpg. Save. Okay, now we can close this and we can go inside image and see if we have our background.jpg. Great. The next step is to go inside the image.network and change network for asset. And after this, you can change the path, which is inside. And what we will put instead is the path for the image, which is assets/image/bg.png, Great. But if you save, you will see that this is not working because we need to tell Flutter that we have a path to image. So you will go inside the popspec.yalm, and inside this one, you will scroll down until you find the section asset. And you need to make sure that everything aligns perfectly, otherwise it will not work. So you will go over the A and you will delete twice, like this. Delete, delete. After this, you will do the same thing. You will go after and you will delete twice. Delete, delete. Great. So you will remove this and call it assets slash image and slash again. So now you have access to all the image within this file. And you will click this, you will save, and you will click this little button, Flutter pub-get. All right? If you don't have this on Visual Studio Code, you can open the terminal and write Flutter pub-get, like this. And it will do the same thing. So I will close this and close the popspec.yalm. And now if we save the application, we have the background. If it's still not working for you, just close the application and relaunch the application. And now it should work. So this was pretty much everything about image. So that's about it. And I see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, so if you are using Android Studio and not Visual Studio Code, this video might not be for you. So you can skip to the next video right now, because we will talk about extensions with Visual Studio Code. So you can see that when I put my path of my image, I have a little image preview. This is because I have an extension called image preview. All right, so you can download and enable this if you want. After this, we have the better comment. Better comment is just a way to put colors for comments, because normally this is a comment, but if you put this, now the comment is red, and if you put like question mark, now it's blue, and stuff like that. So you use it if you want. After this, I have the awesome Flutter snippet. This one is pretty cool because you just write like a shortcut and it will write a lot of code for you. So we will use this inside this course. You will see I will use a lot of time the shortcuts and we will save a lot of time. So you can enable this also. The last one is the material icon theme. So I have already this installed and it's inside the Explorer. You can see all my files. We have some sort of icons before each files, and I think it's cool. So that's about it. You can enable them if you want, and I see you in the next video. Bye. In this video, we will talk about the stack widget. So most of the time, you will have a child inside a widget. So you will be able to put a widget inside and nest all the widget together. But by example, this time, the image, that asset don't have any child. So how do you put a text over it in the center? For this, you will need to use the stack widget. So what you will do is you will go over the image, you will right click, and you will say refactor with a column, like this. If you do a column and you put a text after, so right now it's because we use the height infinity, I will remove this. And yeah, if we save, now we should have something. Let's reload the application. Yeah, we have our image. The reason was inside a column, it's a widget infinite, and then we have another infinite. This is why it was not working. So what we'll do is we will say text, and inside we will say, I don't know, Flutter or anything. You can put anything. And now you see that the text is under the image, but we want it over the image. So instead of using a column, we will use a stack widget. And it works just the same. It uses a children inside, which you have a list of widgets separated with all commas. So now, if we put the comma right there also and save, we have the text Flutter right there. So what you could do is you could put the text in the center by right-clicking on text, refactor, and wrap with a center widget. All right, so let's save. And now, yeah, you see that this is not working because it's going inside the center of the application. So what we could do to fix this real fast is we could define a height of maybe 300 for each of them. So this one and the center, maybe we could wrap it, say refactor with a sized box and put a height of 300 also. And now you see that it's in the center. So this is how you play with the code. All right, so that's about it for the stack widget. And I see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Now let's talk about another widget called the padding. So it's pretty much like the container, because if you remember, by example, if we go over the stack, we wrap this refactor, wrap with a container. Inside the container, we can put the padding argument, and then we say agentsets.all, and we put a value, maybe 50.0. So we will have a padding, all right? But there is also the widget just padding. You could replace the container with padding and save, and it will do just the same. The difference is padding is only for padding. But if you use the container, you can see that you have many other arguments and stuff that you could put inside. So if you only need a padding, use the padding widget because it will be like less expensive for the application. So that's about it. And I see you in the next one. Bye. In a previous video, I've used a widget called sized box without any warning and never explained to you what it was. So I will explain inside this video. So a sized box is pretty much like a container, but only for the height and the width. So you can see if we go inside the arguments, we only have the width. So the container again is the one that have pretty much everything. It can use a padding or it can use a height and a width. But if you only need to use the height and the width, you should use the size box because again, it's less expensive than the container. It's the same thing with the padding, okay? So the size box is just that, is an empty box that you can put a height and a width and then a child inside. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so how do you add an icon inside your app? So for this, you will go inside the section app bar of the scaffold, and we will work inside one argument called the leading. All right. And inside the leading, which is the start of the app bar, what you will do is you will put an icon like this. And inside, you use the same logic as the colors. You remember when you use a color with the Flutter, it's colors with the S dot a color, then you will do the same thing. So we'll say icons with the S dot, and then you have all your icons. If you want to see it, you click the little blue thing like this, and you select the one you want. So we'll just say notification or anything, and we'll save. So you can see that we use an icon inside our app bar. Great. So we could also change the color by going inside the arguments. You press Control Space, and then you use the argument color, and you say colors with dot ember or anything, and you save. So that is how you use an icon. We can delete it because we will not need this later, but we will reuse this inside another widget that I will show you inside the next video. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so another widget I want to show you is called the list style widget. So we will go inside the stack and we will change the list style. We will use the list style. And inside we will say title, and the title takes a widget inside. So if we go, you see that this takes a widget. So we'll say text, and I will remove this because it takes a lot of place. And I will say text, and inside you can write anything. It doesn't really matter. So this is a list style. But after this, we will change the color because I want you to see what is the list style. So the tile color will say colors.red, and I will save. Okay, so you cannot see it right now because we have an image, and the list tile color has a weird thing that the color goes behind every stack. I know it's weird, but it is how it works. So what we will do is we will delete the image, and you will see this is the list style. So because we are using a padding, I will remove the padding also. Now you can see the entire list style. It's how it looks. But what we'll do also is we will put an argument called the leading. In the leading, what we will put inside is an icon, and we'll use icons dot, and inside we put anything. So join full. All right. And another thing you can use inside is the trailing. Inside the trailing, what you will put is, by example, a text, and again, like this, and you will see it at the end. Perfect. Another thing, again, we can use is the on tap. So this will create a function. Okay. If you don't have the option, you just press Control Space, and you will have the options of using both like this. You use this one, and now you can put a function inside, and now you can save. So that's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so we created some sort of empty function, but how do we see when we tap on it? So what we will do is we will use a simple print function like this, and you will write, I don't know, clicked on or anything. So I will put my semicolon, I will save, and I will open the terminal. Inside the debug console, now you will see that when I press on this list style, boom, you have clicked on. And then that's about it. Every time you clicked on it, you will see a number count. So this is how you print something with Flutter. Very simple stuff, and you can use this to debug sometime. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Another widget I want to show you before we move on is called the wrap widget. And this one is pretty cool. Okay, so we have talked about the list style, and the list style is a little bit like a row. So we will replace the list style. I will go inside the body. I will replace all of this with a row widget. Inside, we will put the children, which will be multiple widget back to back. And we'll say text, and I will say anything, and put a comma. Let's save. So we have one text widget. Let's add another one. And let's add like maybe 5 and save. You see how we have an error right there? It's because we don't have enough place to display all the widget inside the screen. And this is the thing with the row widget, it can happen. So if you want to make sure that this doesn't happen, you can replace this with the wrap. And now let's save. And you see how everything goes down if you don't have enough place. Another thing is, let's try to create something even bigger. So maybe this, and save. You see that even if the text widget doesn't enter, it will still put it down. So this is a really helpful widget to remember, the wrap widget. If you have problems with the row, then you can use this. That's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye. It's now time to talk about the master layout. So we have talked about a lot of little widgets that you can put together to create the app, but what about like the big picture? How the skeleton of the app work? This is what we'll do. So what we'll do, we will go a little bit crazy and we will delete everything. All right, let's do this. Let's just keep the main run my app. Okay. So what we'll do is we will start from scratch. First thing first, there is like 3 things we will talk about. We will talk about the stateless, then we will talk about the material app, and then we will talk about the scaffold. Okay, so you have a mental picture of what we'll talk about. The first thing we'll do is we'll write the stateless widget. So if you just write STL or STA, you will find stateless widget. You click this one, and this will build automatically the widget for you. After this, you will write my app, because it just needs to be the same name as this. So if you change my app for something else, you will need to change these also. Great. So this is a stateless widget, and this is the first part. We will talk later about what is the stateless widget and stateful widget. But as a quick explanation, stateless means that the screen will not change. And a stateful widget means that when the user clicks things, then the screen refresh with new stuff. It doesn't matter if you understand right now. But what we will talk about in this video is more about the material app, because later we will talk about this and more about this. So let's use the material app. You will replace the container for a material app. So this is like the theme of your application. So you can see that right now it's all black. And you remember the debug banner. What we'll do is we will remove this. We will say show debug banner false, unless you want to keep it. After this, we just have a black screen. So what we need is we need the home of our application, which is an argument. And inside we just put a widget. And the widget is the scaffold. The scaffold widget is the third part, which I told you, is the skeleton of the app. So this is more like the theme of the app, and this is the skeleton. All right, we will work on this on the next video, but for now, let's work on the material again. Let's change the theme, and if you remember previously, we had something called the color, was it color? It was theme, yeah. So we have the theme of the application, and the theme takes the theme data. So we'll say theme data, and then inside we'll say dot from, is it from? No, it's a theme data. Inside we put the color scheme, exactly. And the color scheme, what you will do is you will say color scheme dot from seed. This is the easiest way to do it, all right? There is like 10 ways that you can put colors inside your app. I just find it that the color scheme that from seed is the easiest, and that's about it. So you will remove the color and you will say colors dot let's create our application color teal, because I think it's cool. I will put all my commas, I will save, and now you see that we have some sort of teal white, all right? So if you put red, you will see that the color background is a little bit different. So now we have some sort of theming inside our app. But also, it will be cool to have our application dark. So I will say brightness, and I will say brightness dot dark. I will put my comma and save. So now our application have some sort of theme of color teal and the brightness dark. On the next video, we will start working on the scaffold. That's about it for the third things. I will delete them, and I see you on the next video. Bye. Okay, so the scaffold is the cool part of the application because it's the skeleton and it's where you start to see your application take life. So inside the scaffold, we have something called the app bar argument. If you go over, you will see that the app bar suggests something called the preferred size widget, but it's just better to use the app bar because everything is built up for you. Inside the app bar, you have the title, which you will use inside a widget. You can see right there. And we will use the text widget. Inside, we will just call it Flutter. You can put anything, we'll put Flutter map. And now you have the title. If you have the title on the left side, it's because you are using more like Android stuff. If you use Android, you can fix all of these by using, by example, it's center title, and you can say true. Or if I say false, I will go on the left side. Okay, so this is how you use it. The difference is with Flutter, iOS and Android have some differences, all right? And the differences, if there are, I will try to tell you. And it's very rare. It's like 1% of widgets that have differences. So you should not have that big of problems. All right, anyway, so we have the app bar. Next, what we have inside is other arguments called deleting. We have used this one previously. We will put a simple icon, but an icons dot, what do we put? Login, I don't know. Let's save. After this, we will put another thing called the action arguments. So this one have a list, and it will be a list of multiple things that goes at the end of the app bar. So what we could do is we could put an icon again, or let's use a text widget. Doesn't really matter. And we can put anything and save. So you can see that this is at the end. And you could just copy also the icon and paste an icon also and save. You have multiple things you can do with that. So after this, inside the app bar, you can press Control Space and it will change the color. So we say background color, and you can say colors.teal. And let's save. So this was a lot of things about the app bar. It's pretty much the thing you will need. There's other arguments, but you don't really need them. It's because, yeah, There are a lot. One maybe you could use is the bottom. The bottom will allow you to put like more stuff behind under the title, but yeah, I don't really use it, so that's about it. So I see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so the next thing we need to talk about is how to add a navigation bar at the bottom of your app. So what we'll do first thing first is we will clean a little bit the application because it's kind of ugly. So inside the app bar, we will keep the title. We will remove center title, I will say true, and we'll remove the action and leading and background. All of these and save. Great. We will also delete this, and it's better. Next thing we'll do is we'll go inside the scaffold. We have the app bar, and after the app bar, we have the bottom navigation bar. So we'll use this, and if you go over, you will see that it does take a widget. And the widget we'll use is the navigation bar. So the navigation bar will take destinations, right? Which is a list of widget. What we'll do is we'll remove this and we will put a list, and we will say navigation bar destination or navigation destination like this. Now we need to give it an icon. So I will say icon icons.home. I will format document so you can see better. I will put all the commas and save. After this, we need a label. The label will take a simple string. So we will say home and save. Now we have an error. So I will put all my commas also, and we will need to fix this. So again, I told you that inside this course, I will show you my two-step to fix errors. This will just fix it real fast. If you understand, it's good. If you don't, doesn't really matter because I will explain you later. So what we'll need to do is we'll just read this. The destination.land need to be bigger or equal to 2, which means this thing need to have at least 2 items inside. So I will copy the navigation destination, and I will paste another one and save. So now we have 2 items which make the application work. We will change the second one for profile, and the icon will be, I think it's person, and let's save. Great, so now it looks better. But after this, you can see that it's not clickable. Nothing happened when you click on it. We will fix this later by using the stateless and stateful widget, but for now, what we could do is we could just change it manually. So by example, if you go inside after destination, inside the navigation bar, you press Control Space, and you have the index maybe, selected index. So if you put 0, it will be the first one. And if you put 1, then it will be the second one. So you see, we do it manually. So another thing we could do is on destination selected, if you press Control Space, you will see we have this value that returns something. So this function will return the value that we have clicked. So if you go over value, you will see that this take an int. So I will say int just to define the type. All right, so it's more clear. And after this, inside the function, we'll use the print function that we know, and we will print the value. And I will put my semicolon. And now let's save. If we open the terminal or the debug console, and I will restart the app, all right, if we click on home, you see we have 0. And if I click on profile, we have 1. So now we have access of this index, but it's still not updating. We will do this later inside this course. That's about it. And I will just delete the print, and we can move on to the next video. I see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so the next widget is the floating action button. This one is pretty cool. If you remember when we had our first app, we had a little button on the side where you were able to click on something like that. So what we'll do is we'll recreate this button. We will go inside the scaffold again, and inside the scaffold, we will create the floating action button argument and use the floating action button widget. Great. Now the onPress, you will delete and you will press Control Space, and you will use the second one, the second function. And now you can format document and save. You see the little button right there? That's great. Now we need to define an icon for this. So we will go inside, and in the argument, we will say child, and the child takes a widget if you go over. So you will say an icon, and inside icons.add or anything. So now you have a little plus sign, a little button. Again, if you want to make sure that it does work, you can use a print function and print anything inside, put the semicolon, and check inside the debug console. So when I press on it, I need to save first. When I press on it, I have this print. Okay, so this is how to use the floating action button. Another thing I need to show you is, what about you need two of them? So you can wrap this floating action button because it does take a widget and it's not required to be exactly this. So you can wrap it with a column. So refactor, wrap with a column. And then inside you can just paste another floating action button and save. And you can see that this is not working, and it's because the column, we need to change the main axis size to main axis size dot minimum. So main axis size dot minimum and save. Great, we have two of them. And we could also use a sized box widget with the height of maybe 10.0 and use this. So this is how it could look. All right, so that is how to use the floating action button with Flutter. And I see you in the next video. Bye. All right, so let's talk about the drawer widget. This one is pretty cool. I don't really use it as often, but it's there in multiple apps, so I need to show you this. Inside the scaffold, you will go and you will write the drawer argument. Inside the drawer, you will use the drawer widget. Pretty simple. And if you save just by writing this little code, now when you press on this, you will see we have a drawer. Pretty cool, right? After this, inside the drawer, what we will do is we will change maybe the child. The child is what is inside. And what we'll do is we'll use a list-style. Let's use this. Let's use a list-style and use a title with a text saying, I don't know, logout. And let's save. So now if we reopen the thing, we have the list style right there. But you can see that it's still weird at the place. It's at a weird place. So what we need to use is a drawer header. So what I will do is inside the child, I will wrap this list style. I will say refactor, and I will wrap it with a column. And inside the column, I will use a drawer header like this. All right, and the child will be a simple text or anything saying drawer, and I will put my commas, save and format document. And now you can see that it looks way much better. All right, so this is how you can create a drawer with Flutter. Pretty simple stuff. So that's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye. All right, so let me show you one more widget, which is pretty cool. So you remember when we opened the drawer and we had like the logout inside the timer? It was pretty weird. So what we'll do is we will delete the drawer and I will save again. And now you see we have the logout. But one thing you can use with Flutter is called the safe area. So if I wrap the drawer like this and I say refactor and I wrap it with a widget called the safe area and a save. Now you see that the drawer will not go on the place where the timer or the notch camera is. It will never go there. All right, this is pretty cool. And another thing you can do is you can actually, I will go over the safe area, I will wrap it, refactor, and I will remove this widget. And instead, we will put it maybe over the scaffold. Let's see what happened. So I will say, I will go over the scaffold, I will right click, refactor, and I will wrap this widget with a safe area. And let's save. So now you can see that even the bottom and the top, which have some stuff, is not usable in the app anymore. So this is how you use it. So I will redelete this, and also the drawer, we will delete it also. Let's save. We will remake our app look clean, and we don't need the drawer anymore. The floating action button, we can delete this. We will not use this neither. So this is, I will put this as 0, and we will fix the bottom navigation bar later also. So this is our application. So let's work and let's start building a real app from this. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so before we start building a real app, we need to make sure that you are able to fix bugs by yourself with Flutter. So when you build your own application, you are able to handle problems and build your own app yourself, right? So what we'll do is we will talk about the two types of errors inside Flutter, and I will show you how to fix both of them. So right now, it's the first type. And the first type will happen, and you will have these things like that. You will have like a red curly line under a text. What you need to do is you go over and you will see expected to find. You will find the error right there. So it's expected to find a comma. The reason is we cannot put like an argument and then a widget without separating another comma in order to display another argument. So this was the first type of error. If you have this, or if, by example, you are missing one bracket, so let's delete the bracket, you will see that if we go there, it's saying expected to find a bracket. So you need to put it back. All right. You will see sometime it's less obvious. Maybe if we do this, you see we have a problem, but the only thing you have to do when you have the red problem, you go over and Flutter should usually give you the answer. All right. So this is how to fix the first type of problems with Flutter. So I see you in the next video to show you the second type. Bye. Okay, so to fix the second type of problems, usually you will have a red screen on your application. And sometimes you will not have the screen, but I will show you both ways are the same. So this is the second type, how to fix your errors with Flutter. So what we will do is, first I will delete one navigation and I will save. This create an error, right? If you don't have the red screen and you know that your application is not like responding the way it should be, what you can do is you can open the terminal and you will see inside the debug that you have some sort of problems. All right. So when it's not working, just check in your debug console and check out if you have errors. Right now, the problem is telling me, like the first link is saying, go to the navigation bar. So usually when you have a problem, it will give you a lot of links, but you can see that many of them is not even like project of mine, right? It's like Flutter or Dart programming. So what you will do is you will find something that you created. By example, the navigation bar, the Dart. Let's find out what is inside. So this is not ours, but you can see that we have a problem with the destination dot length, which is less than 2. All right. So right now, if you go, you see that the main.dart, this is my file. So usually it will be the first, second, or third link, and you just click on it, and it will tell you exactly where is the error inside your code. So you can see that when I click on it, boom, I'm redirected to the main and exactly to the place. So I know that I need to add another navigator like this. So let's do this again, but with another problem. So let's say I replace the title with a container, and I say height, and I say double.infinity, and I save. Now let's restart the application, and you see that we have some sort of errors, but it's not visible in the application. You see, we have an error about the size of the widget, because we have an infinity inside a navbar, which take like maybe just this size. Okay, so let's fix this. Let's go at the top, and let's find the link that bring us to the problem. So you see that we have some sort of box constraints. Let's see where it is. It's not this one. It's not this one. So let's find, we have toolbox. You see sometimes it's less obvious, but it should be at some place. Isolate. Okay, so it's not available. Sometime it can happen. So when it's not available, then you have to find it yourself. So what you will need to do is you will say box constraint force an infinite height. So you need to figure out yourself like why. You could either take this and go on the internet and search about this, like Flutter box constraint force infinite height, and it will tell you that you have like an infinite inside something which is not infinite. So we will delete this and save. And now if I restart the application, you will see that we don't have the error anymore. But let's create another error, by example, colors, and let's say colors.red. And now we will do another thing is decoration, box decoration. And now let's save. You see that we have the error. But what we can do is we can restart the application and we can click on the first link. So you see we have the container, which is not this one, but we have the main. If we click on it, it will tell us exactly where is the problem. So you see that sometimes the link is not available, but if it's not available, you have all the errors, and then you can search online on Stack Overflow. This is the way to fix your errors with Flutter. All right, so you need to take attention to the debug console, look at the screen, and look at pretty much these places and find your answers. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so we need to talk about null safety right now. What is null safety? So first thing first, we need to remove the error. So I will put back the title like this. I will do Control Z. And now we have our title back and the application is working. Perfect. So we need to talk about null safety. What is null safety? Let's create a variable called string title is equal to Flutter map. And I will put my semicolon. And now I will replace the title for this variable. And now let's save. You see that everything works. But what if we tell Flutter this value can be null? All right, nothing changed, but Flutter is telling us, all right, this value can be null. So you need to tell me, like, are you sure that it's not null currently? So what you can do is you can put this and you say to Flutter, I'm sure that this value is not null. So let's restart. And you can see that nothing changed. But this value is now nullable. So what happens if you remove this and you restart the app? You will see that you have an error. And this is because it's null. And then you tell Flutter, I'm sure that this is not null. So this is how you play with null safety. You can define nullable value. And if you want to say like, okay, I'm sure that this value is not null, you define this. Sometime you will need to create null value. So this is how you do it. But most of the time, if you are able, then just create values like this, and you should have the minimum amount of errors. So I will delete this. And this was how to use null safety. Pretty basic stuff. So let's restart this. We have our name. Great. So that's about it. And I see you in the next one. Bye. Let's talk about the states. So there is 3 things we will talk about in the further video and this one, and it will be the stateful widget, so the stateful, the stateless, and then it will be the set state. So what are these? The stateful widget is a way to tell Flutter that the screen can refresh. This can refresh. This can't refresh the screen, and this is to refresh the screen. Whatever. I'm tired. Okay, so you can refresh the screen with the stateful. You cannot refresh the screen with the stateless, and this is telling Flutter, I want to refresh this screen right now. So let me show you a real example. First thing first, we'll create a new class, and this one will be called this. We will use a stateful widget. This thing. So click on this, and then you will write it maybe my app or my homepage, whatever. So you will use this, and then we will replace this placeholder for the entire scaffold widget. So we'll take this scaffold and we will cut all of this and we will paste it right inside this. So let's save. We'll remove the constant and we will save. Great. And now we just need to put in the home the name of this. So my home page. And now we can save, and you will see that nothing has changed yet, but we can now use a stateful widget and we can reset this, or we can refresh the screen to change the navigation bar. So that's pretty cool. So what you will do next is you will go over the override. So there is always 2 places where you can put your variables and stuff, either over the override or after the build. Okay, so it's here or here. And right now, because each time we refresh the screen, we rebuild the entire widget. So if you put your variable there, it will always rebuild. So you don't want to put it there right now. So what we'll do is we'll say int, and this will be the current index. And we will start at 0 like this, and we'll use the current index inside the selected index like this. So now if we refresh, still nothing changed, but we will be able to use this pretty soon. Oops, I don't know why this is not profile. Profile, and I will put this as a person. All right, so it looked better. So what we'll do next is we will go inside the function and we will change this. We will say the current index is now equal to the value that we receive from the onDestination selected. So now if you refresh, again, nothing will change. And the reason is, it's because we are using a stateful, but we are not resetting or refreshing the screen. We need to use the set state. So what we'll do is we will say set state, and inside the set state, we will show what we want to refresh. So now if we use home or profile, we are now changing page, which is pretty cool. And so this was it. Another thing I want to show you, which could be interesting, is if you go inside the body, and now you wonder, like, how do I display one or another widget? You could say, by example, current index is equal to 0. If it's the case, then display, I don't know, center widget with the text hello or the text 1. And if it's not the case, then, and don't worry if you don't understand, because we will do conditions a couple of times, so it will make sense eventually. This is just a conditions. If the current index is equal to 0, then display this. Otherwise, display the second one. So now if we save, you will see 1. And when you click on profile, you see 2. So this is how you can create stuff. All right, so that's about it for this one. And I see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so I know this was a lot of things to learn to create this app, just this little thing. All right, so what we will do is inside this video, I want you to relax and I want you to watch what I will do, okay? Because I will redo everything. I just want to make sure that you understand each step of the process. And sometimes it's fun to have a biggest view of what we have created. So I will show you what we did in 4 simple steps. So I will delete everything. And what we will create, first thing first, is let's define the steps. We need a material app. Then what we need is we need a scaffold. After this, what we need is an app bar with a title, and then we need a bottom navigation bar, whatever. So it's just 4 steps. So because we will need to use a set state inside the navigation bar, then we will need to use a stateful widget. All right? So this is what we'll do. We'll say stateful widget, and then we will call this my app. And then inside, we will remove the container and use a material app, and we will save. Now you see that we have the debug banner, so we want to remove this. What we'll do is we will say debug banner false. And then we need to change the theme of the application. Do you remember how to do this? It's inside the material app. You will say theme, and then you will say, you just go over, you will see theme data. Yeah, theme data. And then you go inside, and there is something called the color scheme. And you use the color scheme from seed. So color scheme from seed. So in this way, you just have to give one color, and Flutter will do all the stuff for you, which is really cool. So you will say colors.teal, or the color you want. Then I will say comma, comma, and save. Great. So now I will restart the app, and you see that we still have nothing because we don't have any scaffold. So inside the theme, inside the material app, what we will need to do is we will create the home argument and say scaffold. So this is the skeleton of our app. Next, what we want is this to be dark. So I will say brightness.dark, comma, save, and this is what we have. Great. Next, we need an app bar. So we'll say app bar argument, and the widget is a simple app bar. The argument title will require a widget, which will be a text widget, and it will be Flutter map. Let's save. Great. The next thing we need is a simple bottom navigation bar. So we'll go inside the scaffold and we'll say bottom navigation bar, and then we will say navigation bar. In the destination, we will put a list, and then we will save. Now we need to have two navigation destinations. So navigation destination, the icon will be a simple icon, and then icon home, icons home. And then the label will be, let's put home. Home. All right. It's terrible, my typing. Home. And now we need another one. So I will just copy this, copy paste, and I will say profile, and then I will say person. Great. So we just need to use this and change the index. So we will go inside the bottom navigation bar or the navigation bar widget, and we will change the selected index. And this will be a selected index variable that we need to create right there before the build. We don't want it after the build because otherwise it will be rebuilt every time we clicked. So it will be selected index is equal to 0. Finally, what we need is to unchanged. So on destination selected change, we change the value and we give it a type just to make it more clear. And then we say selected index is equal to the value. And that's it. So now we can refresh the app and we have, oh, it's not working because we don't have a set state. We need to put a set state, and then we put the selected value inside, save, and restart the app. And now we have something working. Great. So you see how it's not that complicated. We have only 4 things: the material app, the scaffold, the app bar, and the bottom navigation bar at the end. So that's about it. And I see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so with Flutter, the goal is to create the smallest widget possible. So you will need to split your widgets inside different files. And I will show you how to do this. And the reason is, by example, when you click the set state and you refresh this little button to just refresh the screen, you don't have to refresh everything. Because right now, when you click on it, this will go to the build and refresh the material app, refresh the scaffold, and refresh everything. And this will slow down your application. So what you need to do is split into different widgets. This is what we will do. We will go inside the library and I will click and I will say new folder. I will say widgets. So this will be a splitted widget that goes inside this. We will create another file and this will be the nav bar widget. So I like to call the name widget at the end so I always know like what it is. All right. So you will go inside navbar widget and you will create this one. We will say state full widget. Great. We will call this one the navbar widget. And then we need to use the import m. So I will say import m. If you don't have import m, it's because you don't have the extension. It's just a shortcut. So you will need to write the entire thing otherwise. Great. So now we have our navbar widget. We can delete the container and we will paste what we had in the main. So we will go inside the main and we delete all of this. I will cut it instead. So I will cut this and I will say navbar widget. So navbar widget. So now this will redirect to the widget we created, navbar widget. Great. And you will paste this thing. Okay, a couple of things first. When you define the name of these files, use all lowercase letters with this little thing to separate them. Great. But when you create the class, use the capital letter and try to use the same name. So navbar widget, navbar widget. Okay. The next thing you need to do is you will need to re-put the selected index. So I will go inside the main and I will cut this thing and I will paste it inside navigation bar before the override. So over the override. Remember, 2 places you can put your stuff: over the override or after the build. After the build, it will be rebuilt. so it will not work. So let's refresh, and now you see that our application is still working, but we only refresh this part of the application instead of refreshing the entire my app, which is crazy. Great. So that's about it. And another thing you might ask is, what about now if we want to have inside the scaffold a body? If we have a body and then we have some pages inside, how do we have the value which is inside the navigation bar widget? How do we have access to this information? And this is what I will show you in the next video. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so now we have a problem. We have the data inside the navigation bar widget, but we need also to have the data inside the main. So first thing first, what we'll do is we will separate the scaffold, and I will create another folder. This one will be called views. And inside views, we will create another folder called pages. Okay. Inside the views also, we will create maybe another file. This one will be called the widget3. widget3.dart. This will be like where you start your application, and then you will go inside pages. So let's create other pages. We will say this one will be called the home page.dart. And then I will move this on the side so you can see better. And then I will create another one, new file. This will be the profile page.dart. And you will see after we have created all the pages and the view, then I will show you how to use the data, and so you can use it inside any pages. You will see this is pretty cool. So we have the widget tree. This one will be a simple stateless widget. And then we will need to import the material. So import M. Great. We will need to change the name for widget3. Okay. And then we have inside what we will put. So we'll go inside the main.dart, and what we will remove is the entire scaffold. So let me remove this. I will cut this, and I will say widget3. Do we have it? Widget3, like this. Perfect. So this will redirect. If you want, you can press Control and click on it. This will redirect to the widget3. So now we can put the scaffold, paste it inside, and we need to have the import of the nav bar. So I will say quick fix, and then I will just say import this one. All right. So now we can go in the main again. We can delete the comments, and we can delete the unused reference. Great, so let's restart the application. Everything should still work, but we still have the same thing on the screen. Let's do the next step. The next step will be to create another stateless widget. So this one will be maybe stateless widget. We need to create another import again. Import M. Great, and now we will change the name for profile page. Great. Inside this one, what we'll do is we'll create a center widget. It's just to see something on the screen. So I will say a center, and then I will use a child, which will use a text widget. All right. This one will be profile page, just like that. Great. So we can copy all of this. I will say Control C, and then I will paste it inside home page. So let's go inside, let's paste it, and then we will replace the name for home page. Simple as that. And we will replace this also for home page. So we see the text home page. Great. So now we can close all things, and we can reopen the widget 3. So this is where we will handle the data. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a variable pages. By example, a list of widget. So this is just the type. Inside is just the type of what will be inside the list. So this will be the pages. And this is equal to a list, because we tell Flutter it's a list. And inside we put widgets. And the widgets we will put are the 2 pages we created. So the home page and then the profile page. Great. So now we have access to these 2 pages. The next thing we need to do is to go inside the scaffold and in the body, like this. And we will say pages.element at. And with this, we will be able to define either 0, which will be the home page, or either the value 1, which will be the profile page. All right, so this is pretty much what we had to do for the view. Now let's talk about how to create the data and pass the data. All right, so we'll go inside the widget 3. And inside this one, we need to access this information. So I think we will do that in the next video, just to separate. I will do this video, maybe creating the structure of this application. And in the next video, I will show you how to handle the data. So you have the two things separate. That's it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so how can you handle the data from anywhere inside your application? So right now, we only have the selected index available inside the navigation bar widget, but we need it inside the widget view in order to display either the first or the second element. So let's do this. First thing first, we'll go inside and the widget, we should put it inside the view. So let's put widget inside the view. I will say move, and everything should be handled automatically. So that's good. And next, we will create another folder inside the library called the data. All right, so let's use data, and then we will create another file. This one will be the notifiers.dart. This is where we'll put all our notifiers. And there's two things you need to remember when you use notifiers or when you want to handle data like this. First, you will need to use a value notifier. The second one is you will need to use a value listenable builder. Okay, so the value notifier, this one will be the one that hold the data. And then the value listenable builder, it will listen to the data. So if the data change, it will change. And in this case, you don't need the set state. All right, so pretty simple stuff. Let's do this now. What we'll do is we'll create this value notifier. Value notifier, I will press. This will automatically import the material. So we have the value notifier. Let's call this one the selected page. And I like to call notifier at the end also. So now I know that this will be a value notifier because it always ends with notifiers. And next we need to create a value notifier. And inside we will put the value, which will be an int, either 1 or 0. So we'll say 0 as default, and we put our semicolon. So now we created our value notifier. We can use this, but you can also define the type just to make it more clear. This is an int, okay? Next, we need to go back inside the widget 3 or inside the navigation bar widget, and we need to wrap our navigation bar with the value listenable builder. So I will delete all of this. I will cut it instead, and I will say value listenable builder. Inside the value listenable, you put what you created inside the notifier, which is the selected page notifier. Notifier, like this. So I will use this. It is the selected page notifier. And then for the builder, what you will need to do is you delete this and you press Control Space. Flutter will tell you what you need to put inside. So we will use the second one, this one with the curly bracket. Inside this one, you will need to return what you had previously, which was the navigation bar. At the end, you need to put the semicolon, otherwise it will not work. So semicolon, and now let's save. Okay, we have access to this selected page notifier, which is this value, this thing. But we will rename it the selected page. So it makes more sense. Okay, so we can delete the selected index, and we can delete the set state because we will not use this anymore. And the selected index is now the selected page, which is this value coming from the value listenable builder, which use the selected page notifier inside the notifier, this thing. All right. So after this, what can we do? We can change the selected page. And in order to change this value, the selected page notifier, you need to call the real name. So selected page notifier dot value. So this will change the value which is inside this thing. All right. And next, you can just put this value to the value that we receive from the onDestination selected. So you can say like this, put the semicolon, and now we don't have the value anymore, so everything should be fine. We can remove the stateful widget by putting a stateless widget instead. So how you do this? It could be nice if you just were able to right-click and say refactor and put Like, oh, apparently you can do it. Oh, that's even better. I didn't even knew it. So that's cool, because usually I was just doing like from the override to the override, and then you delete the stateful to stateless, and it does the same thing, but you can just refactor. That's cool. And after this, what you can do is now it should work. So let's restart the application and see if everything still works. We have the profile. It does work indeed. So that's fine. But now we can access, if you understand, we can access this selected page notifier from anywhere inside the app just by using this. So we can go back over the widget 3 like this, and we can wrap this thing, the body, with the value listenable builder. So I will delete this, and I will say value listenable builder. Inside this one, we'll need to put the selected page notifier, the thing we created in the notifier. And the builder, we'll delete this and say control space, and we'll say Flutter will give us the answer, so we'll use the second one. And after this, you can say I return, and you return what you had previously, the page at element at. Great. So now we are only missing one step, and it's to put the value inside this. So you could directly put value like this. You could rename it selected page. It could be a better practice maybe. So let's do this. And that's it, I think. So let's refresh this. And now if we click on profile, now we have the profile. And now if you click on home, you have home. So this is how you handle the data with the value listenable builder and the value notifier. So if you remember, you use two things, value notifier and value listenable builder. That's it. This one will hold the data, and this one will be able to listen to the data, and you don't need a set state with this. So that's pretty cool. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so I know this was a lot of things to remember, so what we'll do is a little challenge, okay? If you want, you can just watch and see if you understand. Otherwise, you can try it by yourself before. So the goal of the challenge will be to create, by example, if you go in the widget 3, you see how we have, it's inside the main.dart. You see how we have a brightness.dark. But we can change this for light and save, and now we have a light mode. So it could be cool to have some sort of Boolean that will either say it's true or false, but you will need to use the notifier for this, all right? So let me just show you. We will say, by example, is dark mode notifier, and we will set this as false when we start the application, or we can say true instead, because it will always start like this, and we need to change this for a Boolean, okay? So this is what you will need to do. You will need to create some sort of logic inside the main in order to display either the brightness light or brightness dark by using the notifier. Okay, so we can do this right now. And there is maybe one thing that I haven't told you, and it's about how to create buttons. All right, because we will talk about this in the next module. You will see it's all about user inputs, and it's probably one of the best modules because this is where your applications start to take life, okay? You have buttons, your screen change, and you create a real app. So for now, I will just show you one widget, which is called the icon button. So we will go inside the widget 3, and inside the widget 3, we will go inside the app bar, and we will replace the trailing, or I think it's actions, yeah. Inside the actions, we will put one widget called the icon button, okay? Inside the onPress, you will delete and you will press Control Space, and you will select the second one, the empty function, and then the icon will be icon, and then you say icons dot light mode maybe. Let's try this. So we have light mode, we put all our commas, and now we have this. So your goal is when you press this little button, it change for either the dark mode or the white mode. And if you want to go even further than that, you can also change the icon for dark mode, like this. So every time you press, this icon change and also the entire screen. All right. If you don't know how to do this, then you can watch the next video. I will give you the entire solution. Otherwise, you can try to do it by yourself. Anyway, it's up to you. You decide, and I see you in the next one for the solution. Bye. Okay, so this challenge might be pretty tough for you. So if you were not able to do it, just watch the solution and then try to do it by yourself after. And you will see at one point, you will be able to do it by yourself and you will see how you progress with Flutter. All right, so let's start right now. I will show you the solution for this. So we were inside the notifier and we created the isDark mode notifier. Let's use this inside the widget 3 first. So I will go over the icon. I will cut this and I will say value listenable builder. The value listenable is the isDark mode notifier. And the builder, we will press Ctrl space and select the second one. Then we will be able to return the thing we had previously, the icon dark mode. And let's put the semicolon, refactor, and save. This is what you should have. Okay, so nothing has changed yet, but we have access to the isDark mode value. So I will copy this, I will change the name, and now we will use this information in order to change the icon. So we can go inside the icon and we can say isDark mode. If it's the case, then display the icon dark mode. Otherwise, display icons.light mode. Light mode. And let's save. So now when I press on it, nothing happened because we need to also create some sort of button. So I think it was the icon button on press. On the on press, what we'll do is we will say the isDark mode notifier.value is now equal to the invert of what it was. So you can say, you can take this again and you can say this will be the invert like this. So yeah, this was maybe not really easy to see coming, but if you have already worked with some programming, you were probably able to figure out. Anyway, so let's do this. And now if we refresh, you will see that when we click on it, it does change the icon. So let's do the same thing, but for the light mode inside the main. We will go over the team data. I will select all of this. I will cut it. And what I will say value, listen, I'm not even sure if I will be able to put this inside the theme. No, we absolutely require something else. So what we'll do is we will wrap the entire material app. So I will say this, I will cut it, and I will say value listenable builder, and then it will be isDark mode notifier. Then the builder control space, you select the second one, and then you put a return, and you paste the material app. Great, now we have access to the isDark mode. I will copy this and rename this for isDark mode. And then we can finally use this inside and say isDark mode, then brightness.dark, otherwise brightness.light. So let's refresh the screen. And now we have this. So when we press on this, we have the light mode and the dark mode. So maybe we could reverse this logic. We can go inside the widget 3 and we can say light mode, and then we can say dark mode. And maybe it will make more sense. So when we press on the sunshine, it goes to white mode and dark mode. So this is how we use the or the value notifier inside Flutter. So we have done a second exercise. If you were not able to do it yourself, it's really understandable because this was kind of tough. Was pretty tough, even though. So try to do it again. Try to do it by yourself. Once you're able to do it by yourself, you really get it. And then you can move to the next step. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so now let's talk about user inputs. This will be all the widget that the user can interact with. By example, an icon button, or a button, or a text field where you enter your email, by example. So we will learn about this. And the first one is the text field widget. So let's go inside the profile page and we can close all the other tabs and we can just go inside profile page. Perfect. For this one, we will replace the center widget. We will delete this and we will write a column widget instead. After this, inside, you will press Ctrl space to see all the arguments. You will use the children, and inside the list of children, we will write a text field widget. So you can put your comma, save, and this is what we have. So you can enter text, and that's it. So how do we use this information, and how do we modify this to make it look good? So first thing first, we will make it look good. We will say, by example, decoration, and this will take an input decoration. Inside this one, we'll use the border, okay? And in the border, you can see that we will need to put some input border, but it's better to use instead the outlined input border, okay? Because you will see why once again, if I put my comma and I save, this is how it looks. So you see it's a little bit better, I think, in my opinion. But if you don't want this one, you can put the input border, the underline input border. This one was the previous one. Anyway, so we'll put the outline input border, and then what you could do is you could put a padding around the column. So refactor, and then wrap with a padding. Okay? So now maybe you can put 20 and save. So this is your text field. But how can you access the data and display it in the screen? So for this, what we will do is we will put a stateful widget. So I will say refactor, and I will say stateful widget. Okay? So we will use the set state inside. We don't need the data anywhere else. So that's fine. So inside the text field, right after, we will put a text widget displaying the information. So how do we display this? First, we will need to create a controller for the text field. So for this, I will go right over the override, and I will say text editing controller. We'll call this one a simple controller, and we will define it as a text editing controller. Don't forget to put your semicolon. And inside your text field, you will put a controller argument, this one, and then you will put your controller inside, the thing we just created. All right, so now we have access to the controller, which can display the text inside, like this. All right, so now when we write the text and we press enter, and then if we restart this hot reload, we see the text inside. Okay, but how can we reload it from the screen directly? So what you can do is you can say you have multiple options, but on one of them is completed, on editing completed. All right, so this will return a function, and inside when it's completed, then what you can say set state, and you can say that the value, or you just can say set state. Set state should work and do the job. So let's try it. I will say restart, and I will go inside profile, and I will write something, and I will press enter. And here you go, you have the thing inside. We have refreshed the screen with the text controller, the text. So it does work. So this is how you create a text field. So that's about it, and I see you next one. Bye. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how to create a checkbox. So right after the text, we will create a widget checkbox. Inside this one, we need to put a value, which will be true or false. So we will create one. We will say Boolean is checked is equal to false. Let's put false when we start. And then what we can do is we can replace this for is checked. Great. For the unchanged, you will delete and you will press Control Space, and you will have two options. So we will select the second one, and then what you will say is first the value, what it is. It is a Boolean question mark. So let's say Boolean question mark. It's because it can be null. And then what you will say is you will say we have the value, let's set state, and then inside we'll say is checked is equal to this value. Right, but now we have a problem because this value can be null. So what we'll do is we will replace our Boolean for a nullable Boolean. Right? So now this should work. If we press on it, we have a checkbox. That's great. So now let's create another checkbox, but this one will be a list tile. So let's create a checkbox list tile. Great. The value will be the same, so is checked. I will paste it, and the unchanged will be the same. So I will copy the function, this thing, and paste it right there. Great. So it's the same thing, but the list tile can have a title. So the title, you can put a text widget and write click me. All right, so this was your list tile checkbox. But also what you can do with the checkbox is you can put it as a true state. So we will say true state, and then we will say true. This means that it can have three values. So let me show you. If we click on it now, oops, we can see that we have some sort of error. I will restart the screen and let's see. I think it is because of the checkbox. I need to put this one also as a true state and say true. All right, so now if we go inside profile and we click on it, we have clicked, we have nothing, and we have unselected. So we have true state. So that's about it for the checkbox. I will put all my commas like this, and I'm ready for the next video. So that's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so one thing we need to talk about is the arrow function. Let me show you. You see inside the text field, we have a set state. So what we'll do is we will remove this, and instead we will use the arrow function. So let me show you. Usually we use this one, but this one allows us to put multiple functions inside. But the arrow function will tell us, okay, do only one thing after, and it is this, the set state. So if you want, you could create something like this, and it will do the same thing. Because when you complete and you press enter, you see that we have the screen, the text on the screen. So it does work. So the set state is the only thing that you want. But if you want to print something also, you cannot use this thing. Instead, you will need to come back to what you had previously, and then you can put two things inside. The print function, set state has been clicked, or whatever. You get it? And then you put your semicolon, and it will work. So that's the difference between the empty function normal or the arrow function. That's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye. So let's talk about the switch widget. So it will be pretty much the same thing as the checkbox. We will do it right after the checkbox list style, and we will say switch. So you see, first we need a value. So we'll go up and we'll create a Boolean, but this one will not be nullable, just a Boolean, and we'll call it is switched is equal to false when we start. So let's use this Boolean inside the value. After this, we will change the unchanged, and we'll say control space, and we'll select this one. Okay? After, inside, what we need to do is we need to use a set state, and we need to redefine the value is switch to the new value. And this new value should be a simple Boolean. So it's better to just define the type. Okay, so we should be able to switch this thing, which is really cool. The next thing we will do is put a comma and put a switch list style, like this. And the value will be the same. We'll use the is switch. And for the unchanged, we will copy the entire function. Copy and paste it inside, put your comma, format document, and save. Great. The only thing we need is now a title. So I will copy the one from the checkbox style, and I will paste it inside the switch list style. So now we will write switch me instead. All right, so this is what we created. You will see in the next video, I will show you something pretty cool. I don't want to talk about it right now. I see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so let's talk about the dot adaptive. This one is pretty cool because it will target the current phone, and it will display the widget in an iOS style or Android style. So right now, this is Android style, but I am using an iPhone. So it could be nice to have the visual of the iPhone. So we will go over the switch list style, and I will say dot adaptive. And if we save, you will see that now the icon is automatically adapted to the current phone, which is an iOS. All right? And you can do this for the switch also, dot adaptive, and you can do this for the checkbox list style in the checkbox. So let's save. And now you can see that all of these are now iOS looking, which is pretty cool. So it's up to you if you want to use the adaptive inside your app. I think it's cool. And I just want to tell you that it's not all the widgets that are able to use the adaptive. It's just a couple of them. And yeah, that's about it. If you don't see the dot adaptive after your widget, it's probably because it doesn't exist. So that's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. The next widget we will talk about is called the slider. And the slider, we will put it right after the switch list style. So don't forget to put your comma. And I will say slider like this. And then the value will be a double. So I will go on the top and I will go and write double let's call this one the slider value is equal to, let's put 0.0 when we start. Great. So let's take this information and put it inside the value. Now we need to change this. I will press Control space and the value will do something. Okay, so we will set state and inside we will say that the slider value is now equal to the value that we receive from this function. We can also define the type. We can also say this is a double, just to make it like more visual. And now if we go inside profile, you will see that we can use the slider. And it is currently not using the dot adaptive, so we can use the dot adaptive. And now you see more iOS style. But it's interesting to see the value. So what we'll do is we will print the data, so which would be the value, put the semicolon, and open the terminal. So now you see that when we slide, we go from 0 to 1. But we can also change this. We can change the max to be 100 or 10.0. Let's save. And now you can see that it goes from 0 to 10. But the thing is, we don't have like fixed numbers. What we can do is we can create a divider or division, and we can say that we will have 10 divisions. And if you save, you will see that now we have only chunks of like numbers, like 10, 6, 5, and stuff like that. So this is how you use and create a slider. That's about it, and I see you in the next video. Bye. The next thing I want to show you is how to create a button out of any widget. So by example, if we display an image, we will be able to make this image clickable. But the thing is, before I'm able to show you this, I need to show you something else, which is a widget that the user can scroll through. So let's start by adding the image. So if you remember, it was using image.asset, and then inside you can put the asset of the image. It was asset/image/background.jpg in my case. So you will need to find the path inside your asset image, and this was your image. All right. So let's put this. But now if I put like 2 or 3, you will see that we have a problem with the height of the screen. We are not able to scroll. So we need to create a widget which allows us to scroll through the page. And this is called the single child scroll view. So let's go over the padding. I will right click and I will say refactor, wrap with a widget, and then you will use the single child scroll view and save. Now your screen is now scrollable, which is really cool. All right, so the next step for us will be to first delete one image, and we need to make this image clickable and do something. By example, when we click on it, maybe to change this value or anything. So I will show you how to do this in the next video. Bye. Okay, so how do we make anything clickable? So for this, you will need to wrap, by example, an image asset. I will right click and will say refactor, and I will say wrap with a widget. The widget I will use will be the gesture detector. All right, you will put your comma also at the end, save. So now you see better. Now this is clickable. Let me show you. Inside the arguments, you have something called the onTap. So this will trigger a function, which you can use this one. And what we'll do is we'll say print, and we'll say image selected or anything. Put your semicolon, save, and now let's open the terminal, Control G, like this, and use the debug console. And now when I click on it, you can see image selected. So every time I click, I have another count. Great. So this is how you make anything clickable. But I want to show you another way to do it. And the other way will also allow you to make it look different. So I will show you everything in the next video. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so there is another way to make anything clickable, and it's with the Inkwell widget. And I need to show you both ways because there is a little difference between both of them. First thing first, we need to replace the image asset with a container. So I will be able to show you what is the difference. The height of the container, let's put 200, and let's put the width to double.infinity, which is all the width of the screen. The next thing we will do is we'll change the color, and we will use colors.white white 12 just to create some sort of, you can see if I go inside profile, some sort of color different from the background. All right, so now when we click on it, we should see inside the terminal the image selected, this thing. Perfect. So this container is clickable, but nothing happened on the screen when you press on it. So let's replace this with the Inkwell widget and save. Now you will see that when you press on it, you have some sort of splash effect, which is pretty cool. So it depends of what you need. If you don't want any splash effect, then use the gesture detector. After this, inside the Inkwell, you can change the splash color for colors.teal if you prefer. And let's save. Now you see that we have some sort of teal. And I think this widget is kind of cool. So that's why I need to show you both different, the Inkwell and the gesture detector. That's about it, and I see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, so all of this is pretty cool, but what we want usually inside an app is a simple classic button. And this is what we will talk about in this video. So first, for the Inkwell, I will change the container for 50 just to make it smaller. Perfect, it's still clickable. But what we'll do after this Inkwell is we will use a elevated button. Oops. Elevated button like this. We will change the onPress for an empty function. This. And then the child, what we'll put is, we will say a text. And inside the text, we will say, click me. Click me like this. And put all your commas, save and format document. There we go. There we go. So this is what you should have after. Okay, so we have a button, which is a simple elevated button. After this, what do we want is, we want to be able to change the style of any buttons. So for this, what you will need to do is you will say style, and then you will say, you will repeat the name of the widget, so elevated button, dot style from. And now you're able to change the style. So if you want to change the first color, it will either be primary or background color. So let's try with color. We have the background color. So this should work. Let's put colors.teal. Let's save. So that's cool. But we can change you can change also the color of the text by using the foreground color, probably. Foreground color, colors.white. So now you can see better the text. But you don't always need to change the style because Flutter offers like 4 different types of buttons. All right. So what we'll do is we will create another one, or I will just copy this one and I will paste it right under. So what you will need to do is I will remove the style so you can see just the button. This is a normal elevated button. This is the one we modified. After this, we can create another one under. But this one will be the filled button. So now you see the difference between the elevated and the filled button. There is another one also, which is called the text button. And this is the text button. So maybe you wonder, okay, but how do I change the style of one fill button? You do the same thing. You use the style, and then you say filled button dot style from. Like this. And then you can change the style, just like you did in this one. All right, so we will delete this. And I want to show you one last button, which is this one. We have the outlined button, which will create some sort of outline around it. But there is also other kind of buttons. Let's talk about them right now. We have the close button, like this. Let's save. I wonder what this does. Nothing, but you can create a function inside. And I think we have the back button also, maybe. And the back button is just like this. And you can change what you do inside, the unpressed. So that's about it. That's about buttons. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so one last widget I need to show you before we finish this module is called the drop-down button. You will see this one is pretty useful when you have a list of selectable items. I will create this one right over the text field so we can see it at the top, and it will be the drop-down button. Great. The items for this one will be a list of drop-down menu items. So we'll create a list and we'll use the drop down menu item, this one. The child will be a simple text widget, and we will call this the element 1. I will put all the commas like this. Format document, we'll put more commas, format document, and the unchanged will be an empty function, this. Great. So this is what you should have for the dropdown right now. And you can see that it has one element inside and one element is selected. So let's change this. We will copy this dropdown menu item. We will create another one and we will call this the element 2. And let's do a third one, element 3. Element 3. Perfect. So I will restart the application. I will go in profile. And now we have some sort of problem. We will fix this right now. Inside the drop-down menu item, you will select value. And this one will be E1. And we'll create other value for drop-downs. This one. This will be E2. And this will be E3. Great. Next thing you need to do is we need to create a variable for the value of the drop-down button. This one will be a string. It will be from this one. It will be a string nullable, right? So let's create one string nullable, and let's call this the menu item and say that we can keep this null when we start. Great. So let's copy this and put it inside. Let's save and restart the application. So now if we go inside profile, you see that we have a drop-down which have inside the element 1, element 2, and element 3. And to make them selectable, you will need to go inside the unchanged. The value will be a string like this, string question mark. So we will put the type, and inside we will say set state, and we will say that the menu item is equal to the value. So now when we click and select element 2, it's now element 2, element 3, element 1. So that's pretty cool. Another thing you can do is, you can see that right now we don't have any default value. If you want to have select element 1 selected by default, you can do it by putting this as E1, because this is the same key as this value, right? So we can restart and you will see that the element 1 is already selected. Great. So this is how you create a drop-down menu item. You have all the tools in order to create pretty much any user input inside your application at this point. So let's keep going to build a real application in the next module. That's it. See you in the next one. Bye. The next thing you need to learn with Flutter is how to navigate through different pages. Currently, we are only using the bottom navigation bar, but it could be fun to click this button and go through another page, right? So what we will do is we will take all this garbage and we will put it inside another page, which we will call settings. We will be able to access it from a button that we'll put in the app bar. All right, so let's do this. We will first convert the profile page for something called settings page. All right. Next, we will rename this. We will say this is now called settings. And we can create another profile page. I will say new file, profile page.dart. We can copy the home page, what is inside. We can paste it inside profile page and just rename this for profile page. And rename also this for profile page. Great. So now you have 3 of them renamed. After this, we will go back inside the widget 3 and we will say that we need a quick fix and we want to import the profile page. This thing. We can delete the old settings reference. Great. So now if we refresh, we should be able to see the profile in the home page. Now we need to access this setting page. But how do you do this? Let's go inside the widget 3. And inside this one, we have the actions. So right under the icon button, you will say another icon button. This one will have an onPress. The onPress will have an empty function. And the icon will have an icons.settings. Settings. Great. Now let's put all the commas and save. So now we have a button settings at the top corner. We need to use this by going to the navigation or navigator dot push. And we need to push another page from this button. So we will push another page over this one. What we'll do is we need a route. For this, you will always use the material page route. And inside, you will put the builder. So the builder will be control space, and it will be a context that returns something. The something that we return will be the setting page. All right. So I know this was a lot of things. Then you need to put your semicolon right there, and your comma, and save. Great. So there was a lot of things, but at the end, it's pretty simple. We have an icon button. Then inside we have a non-press. When we press on it, we use the navigator. We use the navigator.push because we want to push another page over this one. After this, we use the material page route in order to display the setting page. So if we restart the application, now we probably will have an error if we go inside the settings. And yes, we have. The reason is, let's go inside the setting page. The reason is we start with a single child scroll view, but we need to have a scaffold. We need to have some sort of skeleton for this page. So we will take this entire thing, this entire single child scroll view. I will cut this thing and put a scaffold. Inside the scaffold, we will have the app bar argument, and inside a title with a text saying that this is the settings page. All right. The next thing we need to do is to put a body for this scaffold. And the body will be what we have copied or cut, which is the single child scroll view. All right. So now let's restart this application, and you will see that the home and profile are fine. And you can go inside the settings to see this setting page with all the scrap inside. That's pretty cool. And you can also see that Flutter will automatically give you a button to come back. All right, inside the app bar. That is pretty cool. If you want to remove this, you can always use the automatically imply leading and say false. All right. If you do this, when you go inside the setting, you will not see the come back button. Okay. So this was how to navigate through Flutter. Let's go back inside again. It's very simple. Navigator, material page route, and then you put your page. That's it. Inside your page, you put the scaffold and you have it. So that's about it for this one. See you in the next video. Bye. So in the last video, we have talked about the navigator.push, but now it's time to talk about the navigator.pop. The pop will just remove the last page. So let's go inside, by example, the setting page. And inside the setting page, as you remember maybe, is you have the automatically imply blah, blah, blah. So we can set this as false. Let's save. So now when we go inside the settings, there is nothing. So let's create this button by ourselves. What we'll do is we'll say leading, and we will use a back button. The back button is just a logo of the back like this. So that's why we use this one. After this, inside, we will use a onPressed. So in the onPressed, we will put a function. And now inside this one, we will use the navigator dot pop, just like this. And inside you put the context, you put your semicolon, and you save. So now you have created the button to pop back. All right. Just heads up, if you put this button inside this page, it will probably not work. So let's do it just to break Flutter, just to see what will happen. Let's do it inside this app bar. And now let's save. You see, you just break Flutter. All right. So just make sure that you have a page previously if you use the pop button. So I will restart the app, and now everything still works. Okay, so we can go back inside the settings, and we can remove the automatically imply leading, because obviously it will not be there because we put one ourselves. All right, so that's it, and I see you in the next one. Bye. So let's talk about the push replacement instead. So let's go back inside so I will close all of them first, and I will open only the widget tree. Okay, so this is where we navigate inside the setting page. Instead of using the push, we will use the push replacement. All right, and now let's restart the application. When we go inside, this will not just push a page over the stack of pages, it will replace the previous page. So now, because we still have the back button that will pop, this will create an error because we have removed the previous page, which was the widget tree and everything. So let's restart the app. And now if you go inside settings, you can remove inside the leading the back button. So we will cut this. I will remove this and the leading also. Now if you save and you go inside, you will see that Flutter will not put automatically the back button because you are not able to go back. There was no page before. All right. So at this point, you have learned how to use the push replacement. This can be interesting sometime when you have like a login screen and the user login. Once it's logged in, you need to navigate into the home page of the application. It could be interesting in these places. So that's about it. What I will do is I will put back the push and that's about it, I think. Cancel. Let's save and restart the application just to see if everything works. We still have this and we can go back. Perfect. So this was the push replacement. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. So all the navigation is pretty cool, but you might have a question like, how do I send data from one page to another? Like, yes, you could use the notifiers, but sometimes you just want to send like a title to the other page, like a description page, and that's it. So I will show you how to do this. So instead of going inside the setting page and getting the information from this, I will send the information from the previous page. All right. So for this, you will need to create some sort of arguments to receive. What we will receive instead is the title. So we will say required. We will say that we required this information. Okay. We will say this dot, and it could be title. So let's put the comma and that's it. After this, we will create the value. So the final. We'll say final. This will be a string title. So when we call this page, we just give it a title, and then we can use this title inside the setting page. So I will use it right there. I will say title. And one thing you have to understand is if you are using a stateful widget, you will need to say widget.title. All right. But if you are using a simple stateless widget, you will not put widget before. You will just put title and it will work. All right. Otherwise, it will not. So just keep this in mind. Anyway, now we have an error inside the widget tree, and it's because we need to put the argument title. And this will be a string, which you will put a simple settings and save. So now, or even we can put settings, cure something else, just so you see the difference. We will go inside the settings, and now you see that the title is settings this thing. Great. So the information is coming from the widget 3, and then we send the information inside the setting page. We handle this information as a title, and we use it. Okay. Again, you use widget.title for a stateful, and you use just title if you're inside a stateless. Okay, so that's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. For this section, what we'll talk about is clean UI widget. So you want to create an application that look good at the end also, right? So this is what we'll do. We will merge them with the layout widgets, and we will create something that look good at the end. Let's start by creating a new file called the welcome page.dart. Okay, this page, first we will import the material, and then this page, the goal will be to have a button, click login or register, and go to the home page, the widget 3. All right, we will do this by creating a stateless widget first, which we will call welcome page, and inside we will put a scaffold widget. All right, let's save this, and now let's go inside the main.dart. And what we'll do inside this, we will remove the widget 3 and put the welcome page. So now when we start the application, let's restart everything. When we start the application and we restart, you will see only a welcome page. The goal is to be able to navigate through this to go inside the widget 3. So let's go inside the welcome page first. And what we'll do inside is we will create a body. So the body will have a column, and inside the column we will have children. Great. Inside this one, we will use the widget I want to show you in this video, which is called the clip or rect. This widget will allow you to create rounded borders for any widget. So in this case, we will use the child, and inside we will put the image we had previously. So the image asset, and inside we will say it was assets/image/background.jpg. So you need to put the path of your image, this one, asset image background.jpg. Okay, and now let's save. It's right there. We will put the column as the main axis alignment dot center. So it goes in the center. And now I want to show you the clip or rect widget. So you will say border radius, and you will say border radius dot circular. Then you will say 20.0 and save. Now you see how the borders goes rounded, and this look pretty good. So that's good. And after this, we will wrap the column, refactor, wrap with a widget, and it will be a padding, because we want to create like maybe 20 padding, and it look a little bit better. This is where we will put like the login information. We'll just like write login, and we'll have the button login and register, stuff like that. All right. So this was how to use the clip or rect widget. Before we finish this video, I just want to add another button right under. So we will use a filled button. This will use an empty function, and the child will be a text saying, I don't know, login, like this. I will put all the commas, save, and now the only thing we need to do is to add a navigator. So I will go first inside the main.dart in order to remove the unused path, okay? And next we will go inside the widget 3 to copy the navigator.push. So let's copy all of this, Control C, and now we can close all the tabs and just use, so I will say save, and now we will just use the welcome page. Okay, inside this one, we will paste the navigator.push, and we will change this for push replacement. All right, and inside we will return the widget 3, like this. So now let's restart the application entirely and click login. You see that you go inside the widget tree where you have your entire application. There is no way for you to log out right now, but we will do this later. So let's refresh, and this is what we will keep working on to make it look clean as a welcome page. That's about it. See you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so the next widget I want to show you is called the hero widget. And for this, we will need to create another file inside the widgets, and we'll call this the hero widget. Okay, like this, .dart. After this, you need the import m, so import material, and then we will create a stateless widget, which will be called hero widget. So this is what you will need. Next, what we can do is we will replace the container with this entire image with the rounded corners. So we can go back inside the welcome page. We can cut this clip or rect, like this. We cut this, and we call instead the hero widget. Okay, you can go back inside the hero widget, and we will return the clip or rect. So let's save. Nothing should change right now, but we can wrap this clip or rect with the hero widget. So let's say refactor and wrap with a widget. We will use the hero. One thing you need to put inside the hero is a tag. You need to tag this with a unique value. So we will just say, for this example, the hero 1, all right? But you need to use always a different value for each hero widget. The next thing you can do is we will plug this hero widget first inside this welcome page, but also inside the home page. So let's replace the center with a column, or first a padding. The padding will be agentsets.all, and it will be 20.0. And then we put a child. The child will be a column. And then in the column, you will put children, so the widget, and the widget will be the hero widget that we just created. All right, so this was a lot of things, but this overall is what you should have, so you can pause the video if you want. What does the hero widget do? You can see that the hero widget is inside this page, but also inside the home page. Have you seen the transition? So the hero widget will always create some sort of transition for the image or for the widget that is inside, which look pretty cool. So what we could do is we could create inside the profile page. Let's go inside and replace this for a padding again with the agentsets.all20.0 and then put a child column and then children that will have a widget inside. And the widget will be a list view, a list tile, list tile, and the list tile will have a title. The text will be log out. So now we will have at least a log out button. And then what you can put is the untap, put an empty function, and this will log out. In order to log out, we can go inside the welcome page. We can copy this navigator, this thing. I will copy this, and I will put it inside the profile page, inside the list tile, like this. Now the only thing you need to do is replace the widget 3 with the welcome page. And now if you restart the application, you will see that when you click login, it creates some sort of transition between the image. And when you click log out, then you go back. That's it. So this was, so yeah, it's not really visible like that. So maybe it would be better another button, but you get the point, right? When we do the log out, we should do something else. We should also change the value of the notifier. So this notifier selected page index, we should put it back to 0. So we'll say selected notifier dot value, notifier dot value is equal to 0. So we restart this. So let's restart the application. When we click login, we click profile, we click log out, and then when we click login, you will see the little animation. So that's about it. This is the hero widget. Pretty cool stuff. See you in the next one. Bye.